Hey everybody, welcome to the Raw Online Report. This is our special preview of the 2019 Toronto Pro Super Show happening this coming weekend in Toronto. Who better to do these previews with than my man, Giles Tiger Thomas, all the way over in the countryside of Great Britain. How are you, sir?
Correct.
I always like to throw that countryside part in.
Yeah.
You're not in the big city. So I'm going to start with something we usually don't, which is the 212. Why? There's a name on this list, Hadi Choopan. Now, will he or won't he? It's almost to the point where it's like, will Kai Green come back or not? We know Hadi's capable of competing in other countries. He won the big man show last year in Spain as a 212, right? So it's just getting into the U.S. has been very problematic. I hear Canada is not any easier than the U.S. to get into. I did speak to someone who was competing against him, and he said, who had emigrated from the Middle East many years ago, or a few years back. He says if he has an immigration attorney and a visa, and you have to show that you have enough funds in the bank account where they don't think you're coming to, I don't know, live off their country or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Then he could be in, but I don't know.
I've been thinking about this because last year he tried to get into Canada and he couldn't get in. So if he can get into Canada this year and he can get into America, then he should do the 212 because if he's doing a show where he can get into a country he can't get into, then it makes perfect sense for him to do the 212. But if he can't get into Canada, I think he needs to go and do open shows outside of Canada and America because otherwise, what is the point of doing this show as a 212? If he can get into Canada, if he can't get to the Olympia, I don't see the point in him doing any 212 shows.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, he's that good that any 212 show he does around the world, apart from the Olympia, is not really worth him doing because he's going to win it.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect against the 212 lineup in this show or any other show, but aside from the Arnold Classic and the Olympia, like you said, I don't think he would have much difficulty winning. He's so packed with muscle.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a big gut. I mean, the guy's just, I'm selfishly hoping because I've yet to see him in person, and I've heard, I trust your judgment and your eye and your critiques, and you've said you've been so impressed by this guy. I'm dying to see him in person, but I don't know if I will.
The only reason he should do a 212 show is if he can do the Olympia. If not, he needs to just do open shows because on his Instagram this morning, he posted a picture from the 2017 San Marino that I was at, where he took second to Cedric McMillan, beat Brandon Curry, beat Tim Buddersheim. And because the day after that show, I've told this story before, but the day after that show, I was in the hotel room in San Marino, and I messaged Patrick Tuer, and he was with Dennis James. And I said, how much did Hadi weigh? Because I said, he looks so much more impressive like this because he's blatantly not a 212. Dennis James said to Patrick Tuer, says, no, he was bang on 212 for the San Marino. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because on his Instagram this morning, Hadi's Instagram, he put a picture from that San Marino where he looked absolutely phenomenal. And he put 101 kilos. That's 222 pounds. And I'm telling you, as an open guy, he is good enough to win any open show outside of the Olympia.
So now I'm confused. Is he saying he was 221 at San Marino?
No, he was 220. Yeah, he was 222 at San Marino.
Okay.
But Dennis James told Patrick Tuer, who told me that he was 212 at that show, and I was like, no chance, because he looked so much different in Portugal last year as a 212. You can see that his legs weren't as big. He wasn't. His waistline was tighter. But to be honest, as an open at 101 kilo, he's top. I could see him top 6 Olympia, but then if he can get to the Olympia, then he needs to win the 212.
Right.
So it's all a bit, I don't know.
So Dennis James gave you some wrong intel.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
Okay. I was chatting to Dennis last week. Actually, he was messaging back and forth. Yeah,
he was good. He was really good on Global Muscle Radio a couple weeks ago.
Yes, he was. He was very. I'll probably get him on again. Actually, I think he's one of those guys that we'll reach out to every couple of months, to get on. Like we had Bob Chick on again this latest episode. He was fantastic go-to guy to bring on for honest opinions.
People have said that the retired pros are better because they're not afraid. They have nothing, they're not worried about judges getting angry at them or sponsors or anything like that. Usually they're more willing to really be blunt and honest and tell it like it is. So, yeah.
It's like when
gold.
Yeah. It's like when you see politicians on TV and they've retired or they're no longer politicians and they're completely different personalities. They speak completely differently. They've got no filter. They can say what they want. They're relaxed. They're doing other things. So they haven't got the responsibility of their position. So I'm assuming that's why some of the pros are very good, though. Like Antoine Vaillant was very open. I'm trying to think of any ones that were really that open. But like you said, they're more reflective as well once they've competed. Once they finish competing, they're a bit more, they're from a different perspective as well. They're from the outside looking in, and they've been on the inside looking out.
Yeah. All right. So Toronto Pro Super Show, very excited. This is my third time going there. Ron Haché runs it very, very well, very efficient. People are so polite in Canada.
Yes.
I don't want to rip on my fellow Americans, but like especially at the New York Pro, 2 weekends ago, was that right? Yeah. I would put my backpack down to save my seat in the press section, and if I got up to go to the bathroom, somebody was in it. I'm like, dude, but that would never happen in Canada. They're more polite and respectful. But let's talk about the front runner. There's two guys I think it's gonna come down to, probably three, but the top two in my mind right now are Jonathan Della Rossa and Ian Valliere. Jonathan just won the Puerto Rico Pro. It was actually, the finals were Sunday, just 2 days ago. Now, you and I, Giles, would have been fifth place in that show, by the way, in the open bodybuilding. There were only 4 in the open men for whatever reason. But did you see the pictures? He tightened up considerably since New York in 1 week.
Yes, he did. In fact, because I was so disappointed with how he looked at New York. Me and AJ were on Global Muscle and we were saying, "Oh, come on, John!" But apparently, was it you that told me this? Or Neil Hill wasn't 100% keen on John doing the New York Pro, and he wasn't with him. Then he said afterwards, he says, "Oh no, I'm going to be doing Puerto Rico, and I'm going to have Neil Hill with me." And I was like, "Well, Neil's." It's like that John came out of the New York Pro, didn't have any glaze on. And I said on Global Muscle, I said, that wouldn't have happened if Neil had been with him. Neil would not physically have let him go out on stage if he didn't have all these things. Right. So obviously John was just, thing is, bodybuilders sometimes do need someone like Neil to, I've seen him when he's been with Flex at these European shows, and he's obsessive about the tan, as it should be with any coach. But, so John, I was really happy that John finally pulled it. That's the best John Della Rossa I've seen since 2014 when I think that was his last pro win?
He won the 2015 Chicago Pro, so this was his second pro win.
This was 2014. It was a Europa show he won. I think it was Dallas. I think it was Florida. I think it was a Florida show, not the Tampa, another one. That was the last time I saw John looking how he needs to look to do himself justice. Okay. So to see him this tight, I'm glad he's actually doing the Toronto, because to see him win in a class of 4 people, it is a qualification to the Olympia. It is what you want. And I respect the fact that he's doing this show as well, because he could easily go, well, I've got my qualification, I've got a bit of prize money, I'll just go and, ta-ta, ta-ta, I'll just go do the Olympia. Right. But I like the fact that he's going into a tougher show with more competitors, more people to go up against, and guys like Valliere. And the fact that he's really challenging himself, I really respect that. I respect him for doing that. So, I'm really, really happy he's doing this show, actually. And I just think it's, I think we know what it's going to be between, and we'll come to his name in a second. But, the thing is, he could also get a teeny little bit better than Puerto Rico. I still think he can be better, because a 2-3% better version of John Della Rossa he can win more pro shows this year, and he could also be top 10 at the Olympia, 2 or 3% better. But I'm glad that at least he's starting to show that he can bring like good condition, like even his radial bicep, all the separation was back. Like the separation in his arms. Yeah. It was all back, the detail, because he's got such a beautiful structure. He's got such a beautiful, everything's there, nothing's missing. But he's one of these guys, he's so thick and he's so thickly muscled, he has to be shredded or he just looks a bit square,
It's, to me, with his physique, it comes down to the separation.
Yes.
Because I could see it so much better, especially like in New York, I was looking at his quads. Very rarely am I satisfied with his quad separation. He's got tremendous quad development. but a lot of times I don't see those deep, clear cuts that I want to see. And I saw more of that in Puerto Rico. I want to see even more in Toronto. So do you know if Neil's going to Toronto too?
I don't know. I can message him. But I'm actually going to message John after we've done this and say, is he doing it to get more prize money or another win, or is he doing it because he believes he can still be better than Puerto Rico? Because
I think with John, he commits to shows, he signs contracts, and he honors the contracts. Like last year, he had every excuse in the world to back. He had 5 shows that he did, and they all took place after his wife, blindsided him, saying, with the divorce thing. He could have backed out, but he's the type of guy that when he makes a commitment, he sticks to it. He's not going to let the promoters down, the fans down, his sponsors. Yeah. So, plus, I think Toronto probably is something he wants to win because he was second place there at least once that I know of back in 2017. The first year I went, he was second to Johnny Jackson. It was so close.
Yeah.
And he had just taken second place to Sergio Oliva at New York Pro the weekend before that. So it was a rough couple weekends for John.
I think it'll be really good for John if he can get a second win. It's going to give him real good momentum. I don't really think there's such thing as momentum, but I think it's going to be good for his self-confidence to get second win. But thing is, this is a much bigger show than it was last week, so he has to be better than Puerto Rico if he wants to win this.
So Ian Valliere, I just interviewed him yesterday. The interview's up. The Ron Line Report is up right now on our YouTube and the MD forums, and he's out for blood. He didn't want to do New York, Puerto Rico. He's putting all his eggs in one basket. He wants this win, this Toronto win, because this was where I believe he made his pro debut a few years ago. Ian's someone like you guys say, he's on the rise. He won a pro show last year, the show in Spain. He was 4th place at the Indy Pro, 4th place in Vancouver. The Olympia, 14th place. It doesn't sound very good, but when I was talking to him, I said, that means you still beat Juan Morel, Michael Lockett, Sergio Oliva, Justin Rodriguez, Josh Wade, none of whom are slouches. So this is a guy, he's about 250 pounds. He's got that grainy, dense look like Dorian had. No weak body parts to speak of. I like this guy's physique a lot. I know you're an Ian fan as well, right?
I'm very, very excited to see what Ian's going to bring this year because he did all those shows last year and he just got bigger and freakier and harder and freakier and more shredded. And honestly, at the Olympia, I know he took 14th, but for me, he was one of the ones that I remembered. Yeah. I remembered him. Like, I was so impressed by how he'd managed to improve and compete at the same time. And just like that side tricep, I was like, God, that's like, even Dorian would give that a nod of approval. I put that in my MD column. I said, he's got a side tricep that would even make Dorian give a nod of approval. Yeah. I was so impressed. I love that kind of gnarly, thick, grainy, detailed, that kind of, he's like a cross between Branch Warren and Dorian Yates, real hardcore, I put a video on Muscle News Weekly and he's benching like 5 plates for like 6 to 8 reps, and it's like this ain't a physique built with freaking cables. No. This is or like high doses. This is a proper old school. And the fact is, he's not done any progress pictures. He's not put anything up on Instagram. Right. And I just think I actually put him a column, MD column.
Oh yes,
yes. One of my issues here.
Issue Sando.
This was a couple of issues ago. I said that the two that I think, and in fact, Alexis Rivera was the other one because Alexis Rivera is now, I think he's got some sort of knee injury. He's out for the year.
Oh, jeez.
I know, but I said Alexis Rivera and Ian Valliere are the two that I think everyone should keep their eye on because I really, truly believe that these two guys they're definitely going to move up this year because, I could see Ian winning this, and I could definitely see him 6 to 8 at Olympia. I think he's really good. I think he's really that good, and I think he's hungry, and I think he's got the right attitude, and he's between him and John Della Rosa. John's going to have to be better to go up against Valliere. What do you think?
Yeah, because Valliere is, they're both tremendously thick guys. Ian's got about 3 inches on him. He's 5'9". He's probably got about 20 pounds of muscle on him. It doesn't really, the numbers don't matter, but he's a damn good physique. I could have seen him in the top 10 at the Olympia last year. I don't think there would have been any complaints if he had been like 9th or 10th place.
Yeah.
But the dark horse,
Sorry, what was he like on online? I've not watched it yet.
Oh, he was good. He's very confident, very calm. Feels good. He's married into the Bumstead family now. So.
Yes, Melissa. Yeah, yeah. I actually met Ian. Properly met him face to face. I met him properly at the Arnold. Yeah. I think you were interviewing Brandeo.
Right.
Yeah, you were interviewing Brandeo, and Ian was stood right behind him. So I went over and had a bit of a chat with him. I really like him. He's and he sent me a couple of updates as well from Us News Weekly. And in fact, I was going to get him on Global this week because I had him scheduled for 2 episodes ago, and we moved him because I wanted it closer to the Toronto. And then you got him, so I think we'll leave it a couple of weeks, and then we'll get him on then. But Ian, if you're watching, definitely want you on Global Muscle, mate, because I think you're on the rise.
James Hollingshead from the UK, still going. So, James, a little disappointing showing in New York. I know he didn't want 8th place. I know he was hoping for much better. 3rd at the big man show. But, James is someone who's always going to be deadly now. I don't think anyone's ever going to count James Hollingshead out ever again, even though this is only his 2nd pro season competing. Do you think he's good enough to push Della Rossa and Ian for the win?
Not yet.
Okay.
Where did you have him at the New York Pro?
I probably would have had him around 6th. I wouldn't have had him, like top 3 or anything. I didn't. It was a pretty good show, but 8th place. I don't know if I would have had him that low.
Jose, we had Jose Raymond on Global last episode 2021, I think it was 21, and he said that James had definitely overspilled on his carb up. But so if he gets that right, then I could see him 3rd. I could see him 3rd in this. I see no reason why he couldn't, unless he messes up his last-minute protocols. But thing is with James, he's tall, he's got a lot of muscle, he's got good symmetry, he's got a good shape, and he's hungry as well. So I just want to see him. I want to see him at his best condition of the whole year, because he did look good in Spain. And obviously messed up at New York. Messed up. I mean, he still made top 10. He wanted to make top 10. But I would like to see him. I would like to see him take 3rd place here.
Yeah, I think he's good. I think he's still figuring out the peaking process. He hasn't done that many shows. He's still kind of young in the sport. I'm sure he's going to figure it out sooner. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But when he's peaked perfectly, was it the Prague show last fall that he took like 3rd? 6. I mean, when he's on, he's right there with the best guys. He's worthy of a first call out in most shows.
Depends. Yeah, to be honest with James, I mean, I remember he was a junior in 2012. Yeah, he was a junior. He was 2nd. He won the British finals of the junior in 2009. He's only like 30, 31. Right. Do you know what it is? I don't want him to do a Brandeo and do too many shows and burn out. I don't want him to just for the sake of doing shows, because it's your first year as a pro and you're all excited.
Right.
And the thing is, he runs a gym called King's Gym.
Right.
And it's like when you're in that environment, everyone's kind of just asking you all the time about you competing, and you're in a vest, and it's very motivational for everyone. And I think they kind of, I don't want to see him like just completely burn out. I want to see him at his best, and I want to see him fresh for each show, because at the end of the day, he's 30, 31, 7 years ago. He's like 30, 31 years old now, so he's in no rush. Right. And he's had, I think 3rd and 8th is a good 6th in Prague, 3rd in Spain, 8th at the New York Pro. I think these are good placings. So I'm hoping he does well at this one, and also I hope he does the British Grand Prix on June the 30th. Because I would love to see him in that call-out with Nathan Diasha and Samson Dowda, because I think that'll be really exciting for us British fans.
What about Sasan doing it too?
Sasan's not doing it. In fact, I need to speak to Sasan, because he was... I don't know what's going on with Sasan Harati. I don't know what's going on, because he was so disappointed he didn't get the invitation for the Arnold.
Right.
And I heard he... I'll have to speak to him, because I don't want to say anything on his behalf. But Sasan's a guy that could be winning shows like this, and Sasan's top 10 Olympia material now. Yeah. So I want to see him. I want to see him back up there as well. So it'd be nice to see him. Would have been nice to see him at the British Grand Prix up against Nathan, and because Nathan and Sasan went up against each other at the 2014 British Finals.
Right.
And it was the first time Sasan had ever really nailed his condition. I saw him backstage, and I was like, "Whoa, Sass, you've nailed it!" And then Nathan stripped off. Everybody went, "Oh fuck!"
Damn it. Just a couple other guys I want to mention for the Open. So we got Josh Wade, very consistent. Josh just took 3rd at the California show. Condition is always on point.
Yeah.
He's one of those workhorses. Wasn't gifted with like perfect genetics, but he's done so much to bring his physique up to a level to compare with the guys who were gifted with those genetics. So
he was the one that I didn't see coming at the Cali Pro. I didn't have him as my. If you watch Global Muscle, I didn't have him as my in the top 3, and I was really. And when I saw the pictures, I kind of regretted it because his condition was probably the best in the show, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, we did a New York Pro preview, and I forgot to mention him at all. So.
Yeah.
Was it New York? Yeah, it was a New York Pro preview. But I apologized profusely to him in the interview we did in his hotel room the night before the show. So.
Well, you didn't do an Aaron Clark, no?
No, that's the worst. That was my. That's the worst thing I ever did. Is my wrap up after judging when the year that Aaron Clark won 212 New York Pro. Me and Bob Chick, we have to share the blame, Bob. Come on, we both forgot all about Aaron Clark as we were talking about the 212 guys. We're talking about like Samuel Haddad and all these other guys. And anyway.
Yeah. You're allowed one.
It happened. Robin Strand is the young kid from Canada. I was at the show last year, and he turned pro at the pro qualifier that they held that same weekend, and then jumped right into the pro show immediately afterward. Same day, I believe it was. He took 8th place in Toronto last year, 13 minutes after turning pro. And he was 10th in New York. What a posing routine. This guy did a routine. There's a rap song. Part of it was this rap song called King Kong.
King Kong.
Anyway, it's a newer song, I guess. But anyway, he did this thing jumping around the stage like he was Donkey Kong. It was awesome. I mean, it took a lot of balls. And somebody was complaining about it. I said, everyone else's routine has been putting you to sleep. Isn't this something, have some gratitude. So he's a young kid. He's putting on a lot. He's working hard to improve. He's definitely, I've been following him on Instagram. Definitely much bigger and better than he was last year. I think he's like 24, 25 years old. Still a kid. And last but not least in the open.
Guy to watch out for.
I believe, did you have this guy on Global Muscle, Quentin Araya?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Quentin is one of Antoine Vallant's training partners, I believe.
He switched to Classic.
Okay. Not for this show. He's on the list for Open.
But he is a guy, 23 years old. There's a guy that, I can't even explain his genetics. I can't even explain how good this kid could be. And I think
it's a waist like about that big.
He's just. I think he would have done well in the Open. I think he would have done well, but he's a smart kid and he's got a good team around him. But I think Classic is where he really wants to see, his future. But there's a guy that could be top 6 Olympia in the Open in like 3 years. But it's just incredible. You'll probably. I think you'll win the Classic quite clearly.
Well, he's on the list for Open, but I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen guys. You get to the show and then, like Regan Grimes in New York last year, they're supposed to do one division. They show up in Classic, but I think he'll do well either way. If he shows up in Open, I bet he's going to get a good look. If he goes Classic, we're not talking about Classic today because I didn't recognize many of the names at all. But
yeah,
geez, if this Quentin guy jumps into Classic, I don't know who's beating that.
To be honest, I think if his physique translates as well as it has in the photos and the videos that myself and AJ have seen, he could be first call out at the Olympia in the Classic. I don't know how he will look like. It's like the Canadian guy. Just had him on the show. Oh my God, my mind's gone blank. Henri Pierre, I know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a guy that I didn't think would look good coming down to Classic, and he looks fantastic as a Classic because I thought he was too big and too wide. I'd be interested to see. I just hope he doesn't stay Classic. I think he's going to do well as a Classic. I think he'll win this, and I think he'll do well at the Olympia. I think he'll make top 10 at the Olympia.
Yeah.
I don't want him to see him in Classic for more than this year. I want to see him come back as an Open because this kid is sensational. He is. You talk about the Sibu Sisu Catellos and the other young people that I've mentioned in the show. About who've got the real potential in there, like Rafael Brandeo, like these guys in their mid-20s that have just got insane genetics, insane physiques, and are really going to be filling up the top 6 in the Olympia in a couple of years. Literally a couple of years.
Yeah, you say he's 23. So he's going to be putting on muscle. He's going to be growing. He's probably right at the limit for Classic weight-wise now, or close to it. So
he's very smart as well. He's a smart kid for 23. I was an idiot when I was 23. So he's.
I'm still an idiot. I don't know what's going on.
An idiot, yeah, but he's very. He's a smart kid. I like him. He seems to have a good. I can get a good feel for the the way he communicates with us, and he seems to have good people around him, and he seems to have a good attitude towards towards bodybuilding. So I think he's one to watch.
Now, the only guy in open that's not competing that I really wish had made it was Antoine Vallant, who tore his bicep a couple weeks ago. I want to say get well soon, Antoine. He was looking phenomenal. I was really looking forward to seeing him on this stage, but I'm sure he'll be walking around with an arm in a sling and joking around, I hope, at least. Hope he's going to the show.
I like Antoine. I really want to see him, but he seems to have a good attitude about it all. I've been following him on social media. I've been messaging back and forth, say, "You okay, mate?" And he says, "Yeah, it's just one of those things." He seems to be in good spirits, and I think it's he's had surgery, and it doesn't seem to be any shorter. I mean, maybe a tiny little bit, but I don't think it's even that noticeable. It wasn't a bad tear, right, but it was enough to pull him out of this show. So he did the right thing by pulling out of this one. He could have carried on, and it would have just been like Dorian, he didn't get it surgically reattached and ends up with a shorter muscle, and it ends up looking nasty then for the rest of your career. So he's done the right thing.
Exactly. So if Hadi Choopan is not getting into Canada, my pick for this win is Mahmood Ali, who likes to be called Dura, just for short. And this guy has got such a following, let me tell you. Every time I was doing Instagram Live for MD at the New York Pro of like the posing routines, it didn't matter who was on stage. Remember like at the Olympia, they would just be saying Rami, Rami, Rami in the comments? Yeah. No matter what was... It could be like some figure girl was talking then the morning after Olympia. Where's Rami? Brig Rami. That's what they were saying. Dura, where's Dura? He's got a huge, huge following. Well, he was the winner of the Vancouver Pro 212 last year. Last year he was third in the 212 at Toronto, fourth at the New York Pro. He just took sixth in New York, and I would have had him in the top 5 for sure. He's very, very good. You familiar with Mahmood?
Yeah, somebody messaged me this morning on Instagram, and it said, why is no one talking about, what's his name, sorry? See his exact name, sorry?
Let's just call him Dura. He likes
Dura.
Dura.
That's what I refer to him as, yeah. He said, why is no one talking about Dura? And I said, no, I said, you're right, actually. I said, because the kid is absolutely awesome. I said, he's absolutely huge for a 212. How tall is he? Do you know?
I want to say maybe 5'6".
Right, because he looks like an open. He looks too kind of big for a 212. I mean, fair play to him. That's what you want to look that big as a 212 because most of them are restricted. Right. But I'm really, really impressed with him. I think he's huge, and you see his progress pictures, and you think, no way is he 212. He's too big. Yeah. But good physique, thick. I love the flair of his lats. I like his conditioning. He's got to be a big favorite coming into this one, and I'd love to see him I want to see him at the Olympia again.
And everybody, I'm getting him on Raw Online this week. You'll be seeing him later in the week on Raw Online because, like I said, I don't know what the odds are of Hadi Choopan showing up at this contest. I'm not holding my breath. So
why is he on the poster then? Why is his name on the list when it's because the thing is he's obviously prepping for something because he won't. I don't understand why this has even come about. Why has this happened?
Well, I mean, if he can't do this show, there's always other shows, I guess. I wouldn't be. Does the British show have a 212? Actually, he should do open in the British show.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Listening, Hani Rambod or Hadi Choopan, whoever's out there.
I was speaking to Hani Rambod last week actually because we were thinking about getting him on Global, and I should ask him really. I should ask him. Yeah, that'd be a really good. Oh my God, if he did that. The thing is, he should do the open. I'd love to see Nathan D'Asher up against Hadi Choopan.
Yeah, crazy.
Oh, that'd be good.
But Hani, if Hadi's getting into Canada, it's going to be Hani Rambod's doing. I'm sure Hani would have made some calls, put it that way, because Hani knows a lot of wealthy, powerful people in this world. So maybe it happened. Maybe it's actually happening. But we got other guys in the show. Steve Benton from Germany. He's headed to Toronto. He was just 5th in New York. Very impressive. 6th in New York the year before that, 2nd in Prague in 2017. It probably wasn't the first time I'd seen him in New York, but it was the first time I really took notice of him. And very, very dense muscle, very mature muscle, complete physique, very, very good 212 competitor that it really wasn't on my radar until this year for whatever reason.
He's very, very, I mean, he is Mr. Striated. His quads, everything, his shoulders, his chest, everything. He's like Andreas Munzer. He's just detailed everywhere. He's got nice structure. He's got good symmetry. He's absolutely missing nothing. I'm very impressed with that. The only thing sometimes with Steve is he can have a bit of a stomach. I think sometimes it's and literally, but he's one of those guys that has it one show and then doesn't have it the next. So that tells me it's something to do with the carb up. You know, where they're eating too much to try and fill out. Maybe he's lighter, and then maybe feels like he has to fill out more to get close to the 212 limit, so he's not, outsized by the other guys. Right. But as long as his stomach's flat, he's deadly in any 212 show. I mean, he's so good, and his posing's very good as well. He's hard to fault. He's very hard to fault, Steve Benson.
Yeah. So he beat Mahmood. He beat della in New York. So he could definitely push for the win here. Who knows? Yeah. Last guy in the 212 I want to talk about, because he's definitely someone I think is capable of winning any of the shows outside of Olympia and Arnold, maybe New York Pro. Is not to say in the future he won't, but right now Samir Trudy from Sweden. Yeah. Samir is in this. He was third place at the Arnold last year in the 212, where he was only beaten last year at the Arnold by Kamal El-Garni and Charles Dixon. He beat Jose Raymond, David Henry, Guy Cisternino. So when Samir is on, when his condition's on, he's got a beautiful physique, this kid. Just very round muscle bellies, very pretty shape, and just enough mass. You've seen him compete a few times now, right?
Yeah, Samir's the dark horse for this one, because he's been very, very quiet on his social media. He looked absolutely colossal in the off-season. The gains he made were ridiculous. But, like you said, he took third at the Arnold Classic last year. He beat arguably the ones that we probably thought were going to be 1 and 2, Dave Henry and Jose Raymond. Yeah. And but the thing is, his detail, it's his condition. Yeah. He's so thick and round and full. He really lacks, like next to someone like Benson, he's going to lack that detail. I'm just interested to see if his physique is more detailed and more refined now, because he's got lovely shape. His frontal bicep, the way his lats flare out, and he's got thick muscle, round muscle. He's he's like a little kind of cartoon character, really. Yeah, he is. Big calves, big teardrops on his legs, big thick quads, big sweep. But the only thing that will stop him from winning this and be beaten by guys like della and Benson is his detail and his condition. Yeah. Once he gets, thing is, he's another guy who's only, 26?
Something like that, yeah. He's in his 20s.
Yeah, he's like 26. So if it is a matter of just picking up more muscle maturity, then 100% he could win this, can win it quite clearly. Otherwise, he's going to be kind of third place, really. But, so I'll be interested to see how his physique has improved and changed since last year.
Cool. So I guess the big questions for this show: Jonathan De La Rosa, can he get another win, or will Ian Valliere stop him, or will James Hollingsworth from the UK? This would be James's first pro win, maybe. Who knows? Could pull it off. And of course, in the 212, boy oh boy, Hadi Choopan, the mystery continues. Will he or won't he will they let him into Canada?
Yeah, and if he doesn't, he needs to come to the UK in June 30th and do the Watford the Royal whatever. British Grand Prix. Sorry, British Grand Prix.
I call every pro. I just call them all the British Pro, no matter what they're called. Just easier.
Yeah, to see Hadi up against like Nathan Diaz and all that would be absolutely fantastic. But I see this the Valliere. I'm really looking forward to seeing, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Samir Trudy has improved his physique since last year. Cool.
So I want to let everyone know we're going to have coverage of it starting Friday night. I'll be streaming Instagram Live from the athletes meeting. I like to see the guys weigh in and the classic guys that measure the height, see if anybody's trying to look taller or shorter, catch them in the act. It's always fun. And we will be doing play-by-play. I'll be doing play-by-play Saturday and even into Sunday. There's more divisions. Sunday morning is when they do finals for classic physique, women's bodybuilding, women's physique, and pro wheelchair. So this show has every division.
Can you do something for me when you're in Toronto?
Sure.
Can you walk down Dundas Walk on Instagram Live when you start, and I want you to stop filming when you've finished walking down Dundas Walk?
It's like 100 miles, isn't it?
It's the longest street in the world.
Didn't you do that walk yourself one time?
Yeah, I was 15 years old. Went backpacking around the east coast of America and Canada when I was 15 with my training partner. He was a bit older, he was like 21. Yeah. And we went to Toronto. Go Blue Jays. Oh. And, it was a fantastic experience, actually. And the big park in the middle of all the squirrels, you can hand feed them. Oh. So, but Dundas Walk, it's very, 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 just a straight street. It's the biggest street in the world.
I guarantee you I will not be doing that. They also, the Blue Jays, and they also have the Raptors, a basketball team.
Yeah.
which is named after a dinosaur, which I think is pretty cool. But,
very cool.
Yeah, so play-by-play here, guys. I'm going to be there Saturday morning, Saturday evening doing it, and Sunday morning into the early afternoon. Paparazzi pictures. We got Jason Breeze shooting all the contest pictures. I'm going to grab some footage on my little crappy iPhone. Well, it's not. It's the best iPhone they have right now. I'll be doing a little bit of videos, trying to grab some interviews with that. And, yeah, at musculardevelopment.com, guys. Don't be late. Or our YouTube channel. We'll put all the videos on the YouTube channel. But that's where you want to see the play-by-play, right here on the forum, musculardevelopment.com. It's going to be called 2019 Toronto Pro Play-by-Play. Yes. I'm starting to lose it. All right. Giles Tiger Thomas, thank you so much. And everybody, remember, he has that awesome show with AJ, produced by Chris Clark of Pump Media Studios, called Global Muscle Radio. You can hear that on, oh boy, you can find that on, where is it? SoundCloud, Pandora.
iTunes, SoundCloud, Pandora. That's all audio downloadables. But the main thing is go watch it on musculardevelopment.com. Or, of course, watch it on the MD YouTube, because that's it's best to watch it, really, because you can see you can see what's going on. It's a bit more interesting because it's in a nice studio. And
go back, everybody. They've got guests. They've had already so many all-stars. Phil Heath, Jay Cutler, Flex Lewis. Geez, we could go on and on. It's been every show has got an amazing lineup of guests. So go back and check out Global Muscle Radio. And, yeah, thanks, guys, for watching this preview of the 2019 Toronto Pro Super Show coming up this weekend in Toronto, Canada. Thanks, Giles Tiger Thomas, for being my partner in crime once again. And we'll see you guys next time.